Another thing that happened to me when I was writing the book was a dear friend of mine, Dwayne French, a quadriplegic man, had come down with a very, very bad case of pneumonia. And anybody who has experience with people with quadriplegia knows any kind of respiratory ailment of any kind is a really big deal. Oftentimes, as in the case with my friend, his ability to cough is extremely limited, and not being able to use most of his body, it made it very, very hard for him to grapple with having pneumonia. And so after just half a week, he was in the ICU, and I spent 3 weeks there with him, not knowing if he was going to make it through or not, along with his partner and one of his other close friends. And we took turns sitting at his bedside, and it progressed, and the more time went by without his pneumonia improving, the worse things were getting, and increasingly the odds looked bleaker and bleaker as it just settled deeper into his system. And it really looked like that was going to be it. And but what that situation forced me to do was, just like that Thich Nhat Hanh quote, is I sat there and gave my full attention, because I decided, well, if I'm about to lose my best friend, I didn't want to blink. I was there 12 hours a day, every day. We were taking turns doing shifts, sitting with him, so that one of us was always there. And I anything that he needed, I did it, just without question. I was going to do it. I was going to do it the best I could. I was searching my mind and my heart, trying to find what can I do to help him, even if it's just to make him a little bit more comfortable, or just to ease his suffering even just a little bit. And miraculously, he ended up pulling out of it, because that's what kind of person that he was. He literally, almost a month in the ICU, pulled out of it and rolled out of the ICU in his chair and went on to live until this past September, in which, after a long bout with cancer, me and his partner and his other very good friend went through a similar situation at University of Washington Medical Center in Seattle. And we, again, were taking turns sitting with him in the ICU, and his body was failing after trying chemo and then a very, very invasive surgery that was kind of a Hail Mary last-ditch attempt to buy him some more time, and it didn't work. And we went through it again, and then he passed away. And I share those stories because if it's an analogy for me, in that if this is worst case scenario for the planet, and if humans literally are on the way out, and we know that we're in the sixth mass extinction, we're losing between 150 and 250 species every single day, and it looks very, very bleak. Despite how bad it is and how all the odds feel like they're stacked against us, as it was the situation when I was with Dwayne, I wasn't just going to get up and leave there, or I wasn't going to just say, oh, well, I'm not going to show up. What's the point anyway? Here's this person that I deeply loved and cared about, and nothing was going to stop me from showing up and doing everything I could to help him, even if it was just something as small as just bringing him a little bit more comfort. At one point in September, just a couple days before he died, literally he was just asking me to rub his back and his shoulders, because he was really, really tight and sore because he was having to wear this breathing mask. And I was so grateful just to have that to do. And I feel like that is possibly where we are on the planet now, where even if humans don't make it through this, I feel like we owe it to the planet, to all the other species, to all living things, to show up and do absolutely everything we can. Damn the odds. Damn how bleak it looks. It doesn't matter. In fact, when it comes to that place of really, are we going to love this place properly? Or do we love ourselves enough to give that and share that with the things that we really care about in our lives, whether it's the other people in our lives, or if it's trying to protect a certain patch of forest or a coral reef in the ocean, whatever it is that we feel really, really drawn to love and try to protect, I feel like we're at that moment now where we have to step up to that task like we never have before. So, on the one sense, it'd be very easy to take this information in and feel depressed and despondent and throw our hands up and say, well, what's the point anyway? But if we just reframe it, as I just tried to do, it's an opportunity where this crisis brings the preciousness of life, I think, into a focus that wasn't there before we were this aware of the crisis, which is how precious life is and how amazing the opportunity is that we get to try to have to protect it, to relish it, to savor it, and be with it while we're here now. Another quote that I have in my book that really helped kind of encapsulate what I was just trying to say comes from Czech dissident writer and statesman Václav Havel, who said, "Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something is worth doing no matter how it turns out." So it comes down to, again, how do we choose to be during this time? How do we choose to comport ourselves during this time? Another way to put it came from Stephen Jenkinson, who shared another analogy. He says, no matter how old you are right now, and our ages vary, those in this room and those watching from afar, however old you are, when we're on our deathbeds, what if a young person comes up to us and asks, in 2020, did you know what was happening to Earth? And of course, all of us will have to say, yes. And then they would inevitably ask the next question when we answered yes, so what did you do? So what did you do? And so if I leave you with anything to take home to ponder after this talk, it's that question. So looking back at this moment in your life from the future, what did you do? What will you be able to tell younger generations that you did during this time when we knew what was happening, we knew the gravity of the crisis? What am I going to do? And for that, I believe that we each need to listen very, very closely to our hearts in order to discern specifically what I am being called on to do to serve the earth and her people. And so for me, I was called to write this book and go, have opportunities like this to talk to people and share this information in service to the earth. And when I took that task on, it has literally completely changed my life. It's brought people into my life that I didn't know before. It's brought another book project into my life that I'm about to start working on with a Native American elder. It's completely changed my perceptions of what's happening, and it's deepened my life. And it's also brought challenges like, how do you deal with information like this of what's happened to the planet? But my point is, if I've had that experience, I have deep trust and faith that anyone in here that takes on a cause or just, really up the volume on the cause that you're already working on and the effort and the commitment, that you too will have similar results, and it will impact your life similarly. And so then the final question that I'll end with and leave you to take away and think about is, to what are you going to give your attention, your fullest attention to, during these times as we go forward? Thanks everyone very much.